Waycross presents an election forum for State Representative of Ohio's 28th District. There are 3 candidates running for 1 seat. They are, in alphabetical order, Karen Brownlee, Jen Giroux, Regina Collins.
This is the election forum on Waycross Community Media. I'm your host, Kurt Radel, of Government Programming Coordinator at Waycross. A couple things we want to talk about up front. Voting is Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting starts October 8th. The last day to register or update your name, address is October 7th. To get details, go to votehamiltoncountyohio.gov. Now, if you're watching this program live right now, that's live, October 2nd, local residents are invited to submit their own questions to the candidates. You can email it to live@waycross.org. That's live@waycross.org. Questions must be phrased for all candidates to respond. Email questions must include the resident's name, address, and community. Details will not be shared on the air. We'll only read your first name and street. For example, from Mary on Waycross. And to see this broadcast or other forums, you can go to waycross.tv. As we heard, there are 3 candidates to this race. We have 1 in our studio, 2 are not. Ms. Regina Collins was invited but was not able to participate tonight. Ms. Karen Brownlee could not be here tonight, but she will have a 2-minute pre-recorded statement we'll go to in just a moment. But we do have Ms. Jen Giroux in our studio tonight. And now we begin the 2-minute opening statement with Ms. Karen Brownlee.
Thank you to Waycross Media and the viewers for this opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Karen Brownlee, and I am running for Ohio State Representative for District 28. I am the proud wife of John, and we are the proud parents of 3 young adults. My career has taken various paths. I started out in the business world as a consultant and marketer, but then, hammered home by the high cost of childcare, it just made sense for me to stay home. I returned to the workforce, earned my master's degree in social work, and became a mental health therapist for children and families. I found so much joy in being a therapist, but also deep concern that there were too many state policies creating an unhealthy environment for our children and families and increasing the presentation of behavioral health problems. I am running for Ohio State Representative based on a few core values. First, our job as adults is to ensure the health and safety of children. I am running to leave a legacy where young people are excited about and embrace the future rather than feeling scared of laws that don't protect them and politicians who spread fear. Second, Ohio is one of the best states in the nation, so I just don't understand why some people are so fixated on doom and gloom when every day I'm meeting people in this district who care deeply about their families, who care deeply about their neighbors, and are working together to build stable and strong communities. And last, when we all work together, we all rise together. Even if we sometimes stumble and fall, it's much easier to get back up and get on track when we work together. Thank you, and I hope to earn your vote and serve for you and your family at the Ohio State House in Columbus.
Ms. Giroux, we now begin where you can have your 2-minute opening statement.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Waycross and all of your workers here and you for arranging this. It's such an important time to be able to talk directly to the voters, and I'm very disappointed that Karen Brownlee is not here because you will find that we are very far apart on the issues and we give the voters a very good choice, and so it makes me very sad she couldn't prioritize to be here for us to have a discussion. My name is Jen Giroux, and it's Giroux. I spell that because it is difficult to say, and I tell people on the ballot, go down and find the candidate that has an X at the end of their name. That's me. I am the wife of Dan Giroux. I have 9 grown children. I have 1 special needs adult. I am also a registered nurse, and my husband and I have owned a small business in Madeira for 25 years. We just celebrated 25 years. I grew up on the east side of Cincinnati in Madisonville. with a large family and went on to high school at St. Ursula Academy and then to nursing school at Miami University and Christ Hospital. Throughout my life as an adult, I have had encounters in the education system because my children all told went to 15 different schools with 9 children. I was able to get to know a lot of people in a lot of different places. I also was in healthcare and saw the positive and negative things going on there. In small business, I was able to find out how difficult it was to start our own business and what does and does not help us in terms of the government. I am for small government. I am for individual rights. And you will hear that theme throughout the questions today, because I believe that our individual rights and freedom are the most important thing. And you will find a complete difference in terms of even taxes. I am for lower taxes. My opponent is for higher taxes and new programs. So I am here today to let you get to know me and hopefully ask for your vote on November 5th.
Why do you want to serve as a state representative?
I get asked that all the time, and it's a good question. I was a very busy mom and worked to help with our small business. My husband and I always worked together in terms of being with the family, and when I worked and when his was at the store, our Catholic shop was the name of our store, it's open. And I got to see many things, and I also got to develop and realize the skills that I had when it came to crisis management, working with people that I don't necessarily always agree with in order to solve problems. And I have watched very, very closely throughout my life what goes on in the economy, in politics, among our legislators, and I've had some times of watching feeling very frustrated. And what I've seen over the last 4 years really led me to decide to get into the race. We have challenges for small business that we experience firsthand. In the healthcare, I was horrified at what they did to people during COVID, separating families. Skyrocket groceries right now are concern for all families, and I have adult children that have to deal with paying their bills and trying to get housing, which is out of reach for young couples today. There's senseless crime out of control. I believe that my opponent's radical ideology will be harmful at the State House. And I am very happy to be able to share my opinions and things that I think will be very helpful to my constituents, whether they are struggling financially or doing well. And I believe there's also been assault on our country. I believe that our educated children right now in the schools are not being accurately taught about our history, what our founding fathers were accurately, and I see that there's so much to be done to try to make sure we raise healthy adults and have a great state of Ohio that when our kids are grown, they want to stay here and also be good citizens. So you will hear me talk about individual freedoms, medical freedoms, there's religious freedoms, and let's go.
What is unique about your skills and experience that you would bring to being a state representative for your district?
I bring a diverse background, and as I said, I have 9 children, so that takes a lot of organization, a lot of planning. The saying that you're when you're the mom of a large family, you're the finance person, you're the counselor, you're the schedule maker, everything else. But beyond that, and my first priority has always been my family, which is why I want to advocate for families. Beyond that, I have worked in many areas of healthcare. I've worked in med-surg. I've worked in OBGYN, which is the delivering of babies and postpartum, infectious disease, same-day surgery, pre-admission testing, where I talk to many patients on their medical histories and their backgrounds and experiences, and home care ultimately, which made me really understand how people need dignity even in their older age as they're coming to the end of life. And so I also have been in sales. After many, many years in nursing, I also did sales for a few years. So I bring a diverse background to all the things that we are going to need to do at the State House to make Ohio a better economic state, a better state that adheres to the constitutional rights of our citizens. I'm very proud to be endorsed by the National Federation of Independent Businesses, because I know firsthand the struggles of too many regulations coming down from the government on small businesses. And when family and small business and schools thrive, our state will thrive and be successful. So we have many challenges because of the economic problems that we have, the high taxes, the high groceries, the high gas. And I believe that after the election, we have a lot of change that can occur to make life better in Ohio for our citizens and my constituents.
What do you view as the top 2 issues that are facing Ohio today?
Right now, the top 2 issues absolutely is the economy and the difficulty that is coming down on the families in my district as well as districts across the state. Because everybody knows if you have to get up every morning and worry about paying your bills, feeding your children, gas and electric, gas for your car, that stress stresses not just you, it stresses your family. It can really stress a marriage. And so we have to get the economy in order so that we can drive down the prices and make sure that a family can afford to splurge on a Friday night and take their kids out for a pizza and not be worried about putting it on another credit card. So all these things, the economy is so important to make sure that that day-to-day stress is not there. And then the second is crime and safety, because right now we have a serious illegal immigration issue going on, not just at the southern border, but in Ohio. And I will talk a little later about the crime within our district right here in Forest Park that happened. And it is so important because no matter where you live in the district, whether it is over in Deer Park, Montgomery, or Forest Park, all moms want the same thing. We want to know that our kids are happy and that they are safe and that when they go out at night, they're going to be able to enjoy themselves and have a good time, but come home safely. And with the way the crime is right now, it is very scary not to know when you're going to encounter that. And I think that as legislators, we have to protect our neighborhoods. We have to make sure that they're safe. And we have to know how many illegals are in this district in order to make sure they stay safe. Unlike my opponent, who supports giving free money and free education and free health care from our tax dollars to illegal immigrants. I disagree with that. I think we have to take care of our families in the district first.
You talk about crime. How can the state help curb the crime that exists in the state and locally in the district?
Well, 2 years ago, there was a ballot initiative on the ballot which allowed Ohioans to vote whether or not a judge should be allowed to consider public safety when setting bail or sentencing. And 70% of Ohioans voted for that. What we're dealing with in Hamilton County is some very liberal judges who are setting no bail for violent criminals, therefore putting them right back out on the street to offend and to commit acts of crime against our citizens again, to go back into the system in front of them and be let out again. I, myself, had someone that broke into our house a couple years ago while we were home. And believe it or not, it was juveniles. And they were supposed to go and receive a lot of education at the, in juvenile detention jail, and until they were 21. That was the deal. I got a call not even a year and a half later, they were letting them out. And so we have to make sure that our police, who I support the police very much, I always have. I always thought the way that the police has been portrayed in the media the last few years has been abominable. Our police officers are there to keep us safe, unlike my opponent who believes in defunding the police. The police officers need the resources to make sure that they can keep our community safe, and we need to make sure that they have that. And so electing good judges and making sure that they know how to use the proper law that was voted in, last time with violent criminals being able to be placed on bail, and making sure that we know how many illegals and other objects are in our district in order to keep families safe is very important.
Focusing on the local economy, how can Ohio help the small business owner to maintain and also grow their business?
It's a great question. Being in small business, I know the difficulties and the responsibilities that you have to make sure that you have all of the regulations and tax burdens that are put on you from the government taken care of, as well as supporting your employees, as well as paying your bills. And it's tough. It's very, very tough. Especially right now we have a very small business, but in bigger businesses, they're being burdened with environmental regulations, which are outrageous. It really puts a burden on them in terms of profit, in terms of how much they can afford to have employees. And so these regulations and DEI regulations, which restricts how you can hire and takes away from being able to hire the most skilled person, all of this not only puts burdens on businesses, but it divides the community. And that is the complete opposite of my opponent. And she believes in the DEI in businesses and in schools. So the main thing is to make sure that they have as much tax deductions as we can allow them to have, so that they can thrive as a business and provide to the community the services that their business has. And that is really the long and short of it. If we can take the regulations away and try to give them the proper tax deductions and lessen the tax burden, then Ohio will continue to thrive, but improve in thriving throughout the state.
Staying on the economic track for just a moment, what would you do and that you feel that the Ohio should do in order to attract, we already talked about the small businesses, but the medium-sized companies or the larger companies coming to the district, which means helping the economy and more jobs? What can Ohio do and you do if you were as a state representative?
Well, I won't know what bills will be before us until we get there. I have seen from observation that they have attracted some large businesses here with the computer chip and all that in Ohio. And I think the job of the legislatures is to make sure that you are able to sign contracts that are attractive, makes our state attractive for big businesses to come in, but we don't give away the store in doing so. And that's a very fine line to walk, because oftentimes when you're attracting a big business, they want enormous tax breaks and various other privileges that are not unusual that they ask for. But I think that and having a healthy community here where families are growing, families are available for the employment, so that they can fill the jobs that come in. And mostly just making sure that we have a healthy economy in Ohio, so that when they come here and start their business, they will contribute to that and not suffer from it.
If you are elected to office, what are your goals?
Well, I want to address education as one of the goals. Like I just talked about, needing to make sure that the economy is in better shape than it is right now, because families are suffering. We need to figure out a way that we can make sure families have enough for what they need. I have families that have told me they're suffering trying to make sure they can get their baby formula and making sure that they can get the school supplies. And all this stress is something that we need to do as much as we can to make sure prices come down and the economy gets better. But I believe that education is a real issue right now. And I think there is a deficit in this state of getting back to traditional education where kids are learning and preparing for jobs when they get done with high school. I read a statistic that 3% of high school seniors, 3% can pass the 10 questionnaire quiz that has to be taken in order to be a citizen. That shows a lack of history in our schools. And in schools, I'm very concerned with the individual development of children. They are the most important for us to think about. They are the future of Ohio. My opponent believes that teachers have authority over parents. All the way back to 1926, the U.S. Supreme Court gave and established affirmation that parents are in charge of their kids' education. And right now in schools, we have teachers with a political agenda. We have to get politics out of school. My opponent believes that it's okay to teach kids about different pronouns. It's abominable to me as a registered nurse that they're teaching children that there are more than male and female. This is harmful to them. It harms their development. And my opponent also believes in allowing children to be brought down the road of a sex change without their parents knowing it. This is an outrage. Parents are the sacred keepers of their children and their education, and I believe that we at the state level have to make sure that our schools are teaching the academics and not indoctrinating our children.
It is now time for your 2-minute closing statement.
Okay. Well, I truly believe Ohio is a great state. I have lived here my entire life. Ohio has been very good to me in my education, but I have seen a lot of change that concerns me, which is why I've gotten into the race. I would like to bring my skills, and I'm a very good problem solver, and I'm a strategic thinker. I would like to bring the skills that I have in the medical field, the skills that I have from being a parent, and with many other thousands of parents throughout the years of education of our children, and as a small business owner, to make sure that Ohio can be a place where everyone can thrive. I am very concerned about the radical ideology of my opponent. For example, you look at young people and they have been basically terrorized that the environment is our enemy. They are told not to have children because it's bad for the environment. That is an abomination. We are told to follow the science. And that they talk about the urgency of the environment, but it is not rooted in science. And it very much concerns me, as I said to you, when they are teaching our children that they can be a boy if they're a girl and a girl if they're a boy. That is harmful. It needs to be stopped. And we need to make sure when our children grow up and leave high school, they are well prepared to either enter the workforce or go to college. And they can only do that if academics are returned to the schools. I also want to say that I want to be a part of making sure our neighborhoods are safe. And that is, we should know in our district how many illegals are here to make sure that every one of us, when we go out, are safe. My name is Jen Giroux, and I am asking for your vote on November 5th so that I can go to Columbus for you and listen to your concerns and affect change.
We thank you for being with us this evening, and to see this broadcast or other election forums, you can go to waycross.tv. Now again, voting is Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting starts October 8th. The last day to register or update your name, address is October 7th. To get full details, go to votehamiltoncountyohio.gov. I'm Kurt Radel, Waycross Community Media. Thank you for watching, and good evening.
Waycross takes no positions on candidates or issues. We conduct these forums so that our viewers may be better informed voters for the November 5th election.